Good afternoon. Please be seated. My name is Leo Groark. I feel I am fortunate to be the 8th President and Vice Chancellor of Trent University. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome you all here today. On behalf of our Chancellor, who you'll be introduced to shortly, I now declare Convocation open. I want to begin today by acknowledging that we are located in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Mississauga, adjacent to Haudenosaunee territory in southern Ontario. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to our graduates. I'm very pleased that many of your parents, families, spouses, partners, and friends are joining us today. I know that some of you come from close by, some of you from across Canada, and some from around the world. To our visitors, I will say that I hope you will enjoy Trent, its beautiful campus on this beautiful day. In fact, maybe we could begin with a round of applause for Mother Nature for giving us such a wonderful day for Convocation. I also hope that our visitors will enjoy Trent's deep sense of community. And let me use this as an opportunity to say something about this ceremony today. Trent is a university with very high academic standards, so the accomplishments today are significant and serious accomplishments. But at the same time, today is a celebration. So this is not meant to be a ceremony that is stiff, stuffy, and formal. By my presidential authority, I hereby give permission to parents to make fun of their children at any time they wish, to make as loud, to shout whenever you want, and to make as much noise as you want. And this is good, and we're just getting started. Now, this is a university, and whenever you're at a university, as our graduates well know, and you say something, and I've just said something about the traditions of Convocation, it's always very important to back up what you say with footnotes, references, and bibliographies. So I did get some references to drive home this idea that Convocation, it's really a big party and meant to be. So I'm going to read you from a book called Bits of Harvard History. I went to it because it has a long history of convocations, and it will give you a sense of what convocations were like in the old days. Quote, "Our fathers closely associated the thirst for learning with the thirst for beer. Research by Harvard archivist Marvin Hightower found that the comparatively few graduates of 1703, and there were about 20 graduates of Harvard in 1703, they and their guests consumed, remember 20, 14 barrels of beer, 18 gallons of wine, and a barrel of cider." Hightower also notes that, quote, "In 1797, a live elephant was brought from Providence, Rhode Island, to be displayed at Convocation, along with people dressed as mermaids and mummies and displays of two-headed calves. The locals were invited to compete with Harvard scholars for prize competitions in target shooting." Now, I feel I have to apologize. We were not able to find an elephant. Okay, there won't be mermaids, and I hope you don't drink 18 barrels of cider, beer, whatever. But please, loosen up, have a good time. This is a party. I wanted to note something special about today's convocation, and that is that it is the 50th convocation of Trent University. As of this year, Trent has enjoyed 50 years of welcoming and honoring our new alumni. As we celebrate Trent's 50th convocation ceremony, I think it is interesting that Canada is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Trent has been a key force in the development of Ontario and Canada over the last 50 years. Over the next 50 years, as Canada approaches its 200th birthday, we plan to be a significant catalyst for its further development. And it is sort of interesting that Trent's 100th convocation will coincide with Canada's 200th birthday. And I want to take this moment to invite our current graduates back for that auspicious event 50 years from now. I'm sorry I won't be there for that particular convocation, but I expect you all to be. At each of our convocation ceremonies, I try to share a few stories that can help our visitors understand who and what Trent is a little better. Today I thought, just because of the programs that are represented, and the interests of the faculty and students, I'd say something about Trent's academic contributions to the study of health and medicine. At this graduation, I was asked to note that we will recognize the first graduates of our biomedical science program. This is a new program. It's a unique program that allows undergraduate students to shadow medical doctors in the field. But I'll tell you that when I saw this in my notes, I thought it was a mistake, because it's too soon for us to be having graduates from this program. So I went and did my research, and I'm going to correct this a little bit. As it turns out, there is someone who was fast-tracked, who brought transfer credit from another institution. So at this convocation, I would like to recognize the first graduate from the biomedical science program, and that is Wai Shi Pang, and I believe she's here, and I'd ask her to stand so we can acknowledge her. Thank you, Wai Shi. She's paving the way for other graduates. I did want to note, though, that Trent's contribution to medicine goes way back, right to the beginnings of the university, and I only have time, but I'll mention a few high notes. One is the work of James Orbinski, who is a graduate from Trent from 1980, a graduate from psychology, who went on to practice medicine, who was a co-recipient of the Nobel Prize for his work with Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. I would also note that last year he received one of Canada's most prestigious medical awards, the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada's Tesdale Cordy Humanitarian Award. Sarah Higgins, who graduated in 2004, is a graduate of Trent's Forensic Science program and has become one of the top malaria researchers at Harvard Center for Vascular Biology and the Beth Israel Medical Center. I would also note that our faculty continue to be on the forefront of health and medical research. I can't, of course, list them all, so I picked out someone who you will meet today, and that is Christopher Kyle, the professor and chair of the Forensic Science program. I'd like to note that he recently received a major discovery grant from the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, NSERC, for his studies on ways to lessen the negative impact of infectious diseases on human and wildlife health, biodiversity, and food security. How about a round of applause for Christopher Kyle? One last comment in this regard. I did want to note that we are continuing to build and expand our opportunities for students and faculty interested in health and medical sciences, and will, thanks to the work of David Ellis, the coordinator of our new medical professional stream, be shortly signing an agreement with St. George's Medical University in Granada, which will allow our students direct entry into their international medical program, which will allow them to earn an MD and practice medicine in Canada. The program is designed so that in the process, they will gain international experience and put up with the harsh winter climate in the Caribbean. And I would mention the provost was talking to me about how important it will be for the two of us to go out and see how they're doing next February, just to make sure everything's okay. Let me pass from this on to the next portion of Convocation. Please join me in welcoming Julie Davis, Trent University's Vice President External Relations Advancement, who will introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Dr. Don Tapscott is one of the world's leading authorities on innovation, media, and the economic and social impact of technology. He has authored or co-authored 15 books on groundbreaking concepts that have influenced governments, business, and society. His book, The Digital Economy, changed business thinking about the transformational nature of the internet. 2 years later, he helped popularize the terms net generation and the digital divide in his book, Growing Up Digital. In Wikinomics, How Mass Collaboration Changes Everything, Don was the first to show how the internet could be the basis for global collaboration. Last year, Don released a new book with his son, Alex Tapscott, called The Blockchain Revolution. It's in the process of being published in 14 languages. It's a finalist for the National Business Book of the Year Award and has a TED Talk garnering more than 1 million views. And it's the first book to thoroughly explain why blockchain technology, an open, distributed global platform, will fundamentally transform the way we move, store, and manage value online. It is hard to imagine anyone who has been more prolific and influential in explaining today's technological revolutions and their impact on the world. Don advises prime ministers and presidents about the transformation of their countries for the age of networked intelligence, and is the founder and chairman of Global Solutions Networks, a program that looks at networked models for problem solving and cooperation. Don is a senior advisor for the World Economic Forum, a frequent writer for the Huffington Post and the Wall Street Journal, is interviewed and quoted widely in the broadcast media, and is a sought-after speaker who has delivered more than 400 keynotes and presentations in the last 5 years alone. In 2015, Don received the Order of Canada and was listed as the 4th most influential management speaker alive by Thinkers 50, the definitive list of the top 50 business thinkers in the world. Our Chancellor is also a talented musician and plays keyboard in a Toronto-based band, Men in Suits. The band only plays charity events and have helped to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for numerous charities, such as the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, where Don and his wife, Anna Lopez, are devoted supporters. Don and Anna have also been generous supporters of Trent over the decades, both in leadership roles in our fundraising campaigns and as donors, most recently to the new Student Centre. In 2006, Don received an honorary degree from Trent, and in 2013 was the first alumnus to be appointed as Chancellor. As the 11th Chancellor of Trent University, he has committed countless hours and provided valuable insight, advice, and wisdom. Last year, he was reappointed for a second 3-year term. Don is a passionate advocate for liberal arts and science education, as a great ambassador and an active promoter of Trent's unique approach to learning. I now call upon Dr. Don Tapscott to address Convocation.
Well, thank you very much, Julie, for that much too kind introduction. And heartfelt congratulations to each of you graduating today and to those who are sharing in your success. I'm very proud to be the first alumni chancellor of Trent University. Now, some of you may wonder exactly what does a chancellor do? And so I thought I'd go to the Google and ask it. Young people would know, but you older people, there's this place on the internet called the Google, and you go and ask it questions. And the best definition I could come up with is this: a chancellor is like a bidet. Everyone is pleased to have one, but nobody really knows what it does. Well, there's a continuum of chancellor activity, from purely ceremonial to being much more active in the university. And I tend to be a little more on the active side of that continuum. And one of the things is that every year I am asked to give an address to Convocation. And so this is it. Now, Convocation speeches like this are designed to inspire the graduating class and give some helpful ideas for the future. So let me dispense with that task quickly. Students, graduates, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Good things come to those who wait, and what doesn't kill you can only make you stronger. Buy a good suit, and more important, good shoes and a good shirt. Hello, it's all about the accessories. Brush your teeth and floss. I can't overemphasize the importance of flossing. Increase the proportion of vegetables in your diet, and write this down, will you? This one, please never show up at a job interview with your parents. Are there any questions? Seriously, I'm not going to pass along any career advice to you today, as actually you don't need it. You're all going to have successful careers, and all the data shows that. You've all chosen fields that are eminently employable, and your Trent experience has helped you not just learn, but it's helped you build your capability. You know how to think critically, to solve problems, to do research, to put things in context, to understand the interrelationship between forces, to collaborate. Most important, you have a passion for learning. And that will serve you well, because you will be learning lifelong and you will reinvent your knowledge base multiple times. Rather, I want to talk to you about something different today, your role as a citizen. And let me try and convince you that each of you should become a political person. Now, given the low esteem with which people everywhere find politics, and politicians in particular, you may find that a little odd. But please hear me out. There are opportunities for you galore, and things are pretty darn good in Canada right now. But overall, the world is loaded with problems. We see, for the first time in modern history, wealth creation but declining prosperity for most. Growing social and economic inequality. Our planet is unsustainable due to climate change and other factors. The world is too conflicted. National and religious clashes are on the rise. There are more than 100 million refugees and growing international tensions between nation states. And once again, we have the threat of nuclear war raising its ugly head. And recently, in many countries, notably the United States, we've seen the rise of xenophobia, racism, and other pernicious trends. Women and gays risk losing many hard-fought rights. And the President of the United States himself has issued an executive order to ban people from entering the U.S. on the basis of their religion. Everyone is angry. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, what a downer. Yeah, couldn't we have, had Mark Zuckerberg as our convocation speaker? Well, sorry, but Mark was busy today, so you have me. So what I'd like to ask of each of you is, what kind of citizen are you going to be? What will you do, not just to be prosperous, but to solve these problems? By all means, have successful careers, happy families, good friends, fulfilling, healthy life. But we need more from you. And I'd like you to consider doing 3 things. Number 1, be an informed citizen. Now, that may seem as a kind of simple task, but think about it. When I graduated from Trent many years ago, we got our news from a handful of newspapers and a couple of TV networks. Reporting was generally fair and balanced. Every major publication had an army of fact-checkers. There were trusted sources of news, famous people like Walter Cronkite in the U.S., and he and his colleagues presented a balanced and considered point of view. 25 years ago, I wrote a book called The Digital Economy, and in it, I argued that the internet was a powerful new medium for dissemination of the truth. And indeed, it's brought us all kinds of great things: new ways to distribute scientific journals, new access to research data, great information sources like Wikipedia. But the dangerous reality is that many people today live in their little digital bubbles. They only hear the information that they want to and that reinforces their beliefs. Maybe the purpose of information for many is not to inform them, but it's to give them comfort. So today in the United States, the president bypasses the mainstream media and tweets that President Barack Obama wiretapped his phones. Now, presidents don't have the power to wiretap, and every law enforcement agency says the claim is false. Yet, according to surveys, close to 40% of the population believes this actually happened. So I ask you, how are you going to inform yourself in a world where the old ways of doing that are collapsing? Some suggestions. Once when I was researching your generation for a book, a young woman said to me, it was on a stage in front of thousands of people, "If the news is important, it will find me." And I thought that was pretty cool at the time. But reflecting on it, I've changed my mind. It's your responsibility to find the news and to find out what's important. Read the newspaper, online or otherwise. Don't just scan, read whole articles, including long articles. Listen to CBC, or what's left of it. Develop your BS detectors, because there's a lot of BS out there today. As a society, we need to nurture quality journalism with good judgment, investigative reporting, and balance. So I encourage you to stay informed as a citizen, as you will be informed about your profession. Number 2, continue to develop your own point of view about the world and be prepared to deepen it or to change it based on real information and valid data. So here's an example. What do you think about what's happening in the world? Today, the U.S. is the world's most powerful country and our closest neighbor, so everything it does affects us. And America today is deeply divided. 40% of Americans think President Trump is a great leader who shoots and tweets from the hip. They believe he's shaking up the Washington establishment, battling bureaucracy, cutting red tape, lowering taxes, and putting the legitimate rights of Americans first, and getting the economy going and the country back to work. And right now, the stock market is booming. That's evidence. Many more people think that President Trump is a danger to the world, that he's bereft of morals and has problems telling the truth. He makes capricious decisions and blames minorities like immigrants for America's problems. He set out to dismantle health care and the social safety net in the U.S. so he can reduce taxes, largely for the rich. They say he doesn't read, he's ignorant of world events, and he doesn't understand the world. For example, who are democracy's allies, like Europe, and who are its opponents, say Russia? So, what do you think? Your point of view really matters, and let me explain why. So President Trump says the mainstream media, like the New York Times and CNN, is fake news. That's what he calls them. And he says they fabricate news in order to discredit him, and he's the most victimized political leader in the country. But a free and independent media is one of the foundations of a free society. So if he's right and the media is doing what he says, we can't really function as a modern democracy. On the other hand, if he's wrong and he's the one making this up, we have an equally big problem, that he's using his office to silence criticism and undermine our basic freedoms. Now, I'm not telling you what to think, although I will share my point of view. I don't believe that the New York Times is fabricating stories. And I have personal experience. I've written for the New York Times, and their fact-checking is relentless. My articles, they scrutinize every single sentence and demand I provide evidence for what I'm saying. To me, the mainstream media is one of the strongest defenders against an authoritarian leader. Now, the issues go on. What do you think about climate change? You know, well, the United States is about to withdraw from the Paris agreements, and that affects Canada big time. The president says climate change is a hoax perpetuated by the Chinese. But scientists say that climate change is a massive and growing problem. If we reduce carbon by 80% in the year 2050, it'll still take 1,000 years for the planet to cool down. In the meantime, some bad things are going to happen, like expect in the next decade for 2 billion people to lose most of their water supply. And the implications of that are not just a lot of deaths, but mass displacement of humans, rise in conflict, and so on. What's your view? NAFTA is about to be renegotiated. That's going to affect all of us, every single person. What's your view? You know, why is the world so conflicted? Why is there a refugee crisis with tens of millions of displaced people? What are the causes of crime and terrorism? Many of you are in forensics, and you're out to get the bad guys, and that's great. But we need to fight terrorists, but we also need to create a world with fewer terrorists, don't we? So on and on. How do we solve the problem of Indigenous people? Mainstream Canada has treated our Indigenous peoples terribly. They continue to face racism and economic subjugation, and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission has documented a long history of abuse. So Trent's been an international leader on these issues. You may have some important experiences that could help. Now, having a point of view can be personal, too. I mean, how about this one? What's your spec for a partner? Sure, good looks, good fun, and good abs all count. But in the long run, common values matter more. If you have children, how will you teach them right and wrong? What are the principles on which you will run a family? How will they develop values and do the right thing? How about your community? What are the organizations that make it vibrant, safe, and clean? How could you participate? Number 3, final point. Take a stand. Take action. Become an activist. Now, I'm not suggesting you all take to the streets with placards or something, or even that you run for office or create a blog or start writing for newspapers. I'm not saying that. Rather, the world will only get better if you're involved. And I'm talking about you. Not the person next to you, not your parents or your friends, about you. Activism matters. I mean, just to go back to my favorite topic, President Trump was elected because of the low voter turnout of young people. I find this heartbreaking. So I encourage you today to make a solemn pledge that you will vote. That you will vote in every federal, provincial, and municipal election for the rest of your life. And it's unconscionable to be a citizen in a democratic society and not vote. Now, in Canada, you are voting. Just keep it up. Last election, youth voting voted doubled compared to the previous election. But consider, joining a community organization, a political party. Campaign for ideas you believe in. If a friend makes a racist or sexist or homophobic joke, don't let it stand. Challenge them. When I left Trent in 1970, the war in Vietnam was raging. And I at the time felt it was an immoral war and that the Vietnamese people should determine their own fate. So among other things, I joined the anti-war movement. This year, more than 45 years later, my wife and I visited Vietnam for the first time ever. We went into the tunnels where the villagers hid during the bombing and where they organized to fight. And we saw areas that had been devastated by Agent Orange, for which there's still millions of casualties. And we talked to many Vietnamese people who'd experienced the war. And they told us that they forgive America. As one said, not for them, but for us, that they were doing their best to move on and to build a healthy and vibrant economy. Now, when I mentioned that I've been involved in the anti-war movement, every one of them told us, thank you, that this movement had made a real difference for them. It had changed world opinion and forced the U.S. to withdraw and bring the troops home. So I tell you this story to make a point. You can make a difference. 3 things. Be an informed citizen. Don't let the news find you. Have a point of view and do something. Take a stand. So this is like be a political person in the best sense of the world, and maybe this smaller world that your children inherit will be a better one. Canada can and is increasingly playing a big difference in the world. People look to us, and this is our time, and this is your time too. Now change will happen, and a better world will be forged by you, not by my generation, because we've kind of left you with this mess. Sorry about that. But change will happen in every home, every community, in every business, every forensic laboratory, every organization, every nook and cranny of society. You need to participate in change in your workplace, community, country, and in the causes you join as a global citizen. And you will need to teach your children well. Don't take for granted our fragile freedoms and rights. They need to be protected, nurtured, and advanced. And we mustn't let the frightening political developments of the U.S. infect this great country. If it can happen in the U.S., it could happen anywhere. Now, to close, I have enormous confidence you can do this. I've studied your generation, actually. I've written a couple of books about you. And you have the values and the smarts and the will to forge a new future for this little planet and for us. The hopes of the world rest with you. Carry this mantle well. And please don't show up at a job interview with your parents. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your words, Mr. Chancellor. Mr. Chancellor, Professor Chris Kyle, Chair of Forensic Science, will now present candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science. Graduates, as your name is called, you will come across the front of the stage. You will be congratulated by the Chancellor, then by myself, and then by Tracy Alidrissi, who's the Registrar of the University. Please keep in mind that the Registrar of the University is the records keeper for the university, so it's very important to shake her hand.
Mr. Chancellor, I'm pleased to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science candidates whose names will be read, whom the Senate has duly declared worthy of the honor, and that they may receive the degree at your hands. Emily Adams. Adia Nishali. Kirk Alcock. Rebecca Azaro. Tristan Beckland. Melinda Lee Baker. Adam Bear. Connor Beatty. Matthew Becker. Giselle Bezanzan, pardon me. Allison Blunt. Alexandra Bolivar Hasboon. Christine Booz. Alyssa Brown. Jordan Courier. Matthew D'Souza. Kirsten Dodge. Dan Fraxek. Chelsea Giancola. Brooke Heron. Andrea Iropoli. Caitlin Jackson. Kashika Jaggi. Lauren Carl. Carlene Lloyd. Bronwyn McIntyre. Kayla McPherson. Alicia Martin. Kristen McDonald. Hungming Nam. Chun Nira. Skylar Onischenko. Abrensis, pardon me. Amanda Orr. Ashvira Patel. Rebecca Phillips. Brittany Reed. Victoria Rudd. Lindsay Scheltma. Cassandra Sheldrick. Alyssa Sherry. Nicole Simone. Sydney Soares. Callum Stanford. Christopher Stephen. Emily Storfy. Jacqueline Trink. Adam Vos. Jennifer Wall. Brianne Walton. Valerie Wood. Brandy Francis Morrison. So please join me in congratulating the recipients of the Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science. Mr. Chancellor, I now call upon Professor Holger Hintelman, Dean of Science, to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of Science.
Mr. Chancellor, I'm pleased to present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in the Honors Program candidates whose names we read, whom the Senate has duly declared worthy of the honor that they may receive the degree at your hands. Cole Badlington. Please join me in congratulating the recipient of the Bachelor of Arts degree in the Honors Program. Mr. Chancellor, I am pleased to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the Honors Program candidates whose names we read, whom the Senate has duly declared worthy of the honor that they may receive the degree at your hands. Advaryu Jeet. Hajar Saleh Al-Ansari. Feras Altanian. David Amos. Megan Marie Aoki. Taylor Justin Armitage. Mackenzie Arsenal. Jessica Octoloni. Anna Patricia Baginski. Michael Bassoon. Emily Rose Bastian. William Bannett. Taylor Vivian Berry. Paige Bissonette. Scott Graham Blair. Solomon Blake. Emily Teresa Beamer. William Alexander Bojan. Marissa Bolduck. Adam Alexander Brantford. Ian Bryant. Kevin Bernard Cardoso. Elena Chalk. Matthew David Joseph Cole. Sarah Elizabeth Cousins. Erica Crowley. Cassandra Elizabeth Culp. Andrew Darcy. Ashley May Davis. Kelsey D'Souza. Cassandra DeFrancesco. Joseph Richard DiCienzo. Dylan Dwayne Dittrick. Thomas William Dudgeon. Thamansa Maria Edgar. Nicholas Atmans. Khalid Elmi. Megan Axton. Lindsay Marie Ferguson. Jessica Elizabeth Ferguson. Sindhu Jennifer Fernando. Simon Flint. Ana Raziel Flores. Mattia Diane Fonzo. Esenam François Kumaza. Benjamin Garrett. Olivia Gates. Ivan Velditense Gabra Michael. Ty Kenneth Gurkey. Carly Christine Germain. Colin Matthew Geese. David Gilmore. Skylar Justin Gopi. Michelle Ann Sumansu. Rachel Grainer. Celeste Catherine Grant. Victoria Ann Harness. Michaela Catherine Harrison. Miranda Havaji. Zachary David Harmon. Dana Hayes. Sarah Hickey. Sarah Hill. David Hintelmann. Harrison William Hitzman. Jessica Lee Hoekstra. Brett Hollingshead. Sarah Holtman. Trevor Horvatin. Daniel James Hoyle. Katie Hines. Emma Ironside. Abdul Rahman Amr Jad. Candicia Marilia John. Thomas Charles Cariala. And Kenevin Kelly. Devin James Robert Kernahan. Murtaza Kurban Hussein. Jade Laycock. Rebecca Lewis. Joseph Alexander McLean. Laura Patricia Malik. Sarah Mandarano. Joshua Christopher Mark. Jordan MacArthur. Tessa Sarah McBurney. Danielle Catherine McCluskey. Eliza Ruth McCall. Justin Maid. Ryan Ansley McGrew. Dorcas Cousy Mansa. Shri Brooke Michelle. Lindy Jamie Miller. Caitlin Alana Mowat. Danielle Elizabeth Elaine Myhill. Tyler James Monroe. Novin Niza Mololama. Olivia Charlotte Osborne. Wai-Shi Pang. Ishani Patel. Courtney Margaret Patterson. Rebecca Payton. Haley Marie Patterson. Christopher Jackson Peacock. Graham William Peters. Mallory Marie Pierce. Nope. Ta Nok Hugh Fung. Barbara Piulunovska. Nadine Elizabeth Prue. Mai Phuong Kuong. Hen Roderick Rapp. Farhan Mohammad Rahman. Hamda Rashid. Aoife Riley. Brandon Grant Ramelgas. Sancha Marissa Daria Reynolds. Taylor Diane Inger Rogers. Tyler Mackenzie Roy. Laura Michelle Scott. Madeline Jean Seward. Sarah Mebob Syed. Janani Shintana Silva. Shitza Tafumane. Brianna Lee Thompson. David Tong. Garrett Trenton. Samantha Van Rance. Elise Wakeford. Joel Aaron Weiner. Carl Wise. Natasha Jade Zand. Danielle Courevet Sands. Rachel Louise Sayou. Paul James Schall. Elisa Blair Schubert. Ramsha Sehar. Claire Elizabeth Smith. Karen Jassis Julie Ann Isil Smith. Eugene Song. Ivan Strakov. Terry Elizabeth Sunderman. Adriana Mary Surmak. Laura Elaine Patricia Taylor. Mackenzie Alexandra Tino. Tristan Alexander Stephen Thorpe. Cindy Joanne Trent. Courtney Anata Jean Walker. Ursula Tess Ward. Aaron Paul Woodcock. Charisse Justine Wallings. Kelly Louisa Wright Hayes. Melissa Yip. Cassandra Lynn Young. Noor Sanzul. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of the Bachelor of Science degrees in the honors program. Mr. Chancellor, I am pleased to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science in the General Program candidates whose names will be read, whom the Senate has duly declared worthy of the honor that they may receive the degree at your hands. Archana Aruselvarayasan. Danique Brown. Lisa Brown. Avery James Karen. Grace Elizabeth Font. Sean Thomas Forrester. Cordelia Garza Rabat. Megan Elizabeth Jamatola. Megan Hopkins. Brittany Victoria Hudson. Maureen Helene Jackson. Melissa Christine Johannes. Adam Kernovich. Justin William Mitchek. Hannah Caroline Moffett. Rain Wallace Naden. Shelby Adre Poche. Brandy Nicole Ricks. John Mark Santiago. Daniel Joshua Sterling. Claire Vallant. Michaela Lynn Vickers. Olivia Weinberg. Brina May Wright. Please join me in congratulating the recipients of Bachelor of Science degrees in the general program. Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to confer degrees in absentia on candidates whose names are before you and who are unable to be with us today. I now call upon Provost and Vice President Academic Jackie Muldoon to recognize students who have achieved remarkable success in their studies.
Mr. Chancellor, I'd like to draw attention to the Medals and Honors section at the back of the Convocation program. Mr. Chancellor, the Dean's Honor Roll recognizes students who have achieved 80% or better in their most recent session and have maintained a cumulative average of 75% or higher. In the program, a small double cross identifies those graduates who achieved this distinction. A small single cross identifies those students who are on the President's Honor Roll for having maintained a cumulative average of 80% or better. Please join me in congratulating the members of the Dean's Honor Roll and the President's Honor Roll for their outstanding performance. The Governor General's Silver Medal is awarded to an honor student with the highest academic standing on graduation. Mr. Chancellor, I call upon you to present the Governor General's Silver Medal to Eliza McCall, Bachelor of Science, Honors in Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. The Simons Medal recognizes students in the honors program who achieve high overall standing on graduation. It is named in honor of Trent University's founding president, Professor T.H.B. Simons. Mr. Chancellor, I call upon you to present the Simons Medal to Alyssa Brown, Bachelor of Science in Forensic Science. The Bagnani Medal recognizes students in the general program who achieve high overall standing on graduation. Mr. Chancellor, I call upon you to present the Bagnani Medal to Shelby Poche, Bachelor of Science in Biology. Mr. Chancellor, Professor David Newhouse will now introduce the honor song.
Before all words can be spoken, we bring greetings to creation. We thank the forces that bring us together for another day of life, and we honor all of the life that we stand together with in this universe. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, graduates. In the custom of the first peoples of this land, we offer the sound of the drum and our voices to honor our mother, the earth. We send our profound and deepest thanks to all of creation, and we continue to do all that we can so that the cycle of life can continue. In our teachings, the sound of the drum represents the heartbeat of the universe. The original sound of creation fills our being and echoes still throughout the universe. We sound the drum to connect us with all of creation, to celebrate life, and to honor those among us who have achieved so much. We offer these words of praise to those who have graduated this day. We offer these words of thanksgiving to those who have made these accomplishments possible. We offer these words of thanksgiving or of respect to those who have come before us and who have brought dignity and meaning and love to our lives. We offer these words to remind us to live with kindness, honesty, sharing, courage, and respect. And we offer this song to all of you to accompany you on your travels. May you travel well, and may your lives be lived with grace and dignity. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, graduates, I have the pleasure of presenting Unity and the honor song. May I ask you to stand for the honor song. Thank you, Unity. You may be seated.
Mr. Chancellor, I would like to invite Ms. Karen Smith of the Trent University Alumni Association to welcome the graduating class.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, graduates, and honored guests, good afternoon. It is an honor to be here sharing this momentous day with you. To my fellow graduates, congratulations. Your years of hard work and dedication have paid off, and you've achieved an important milestone. While your time as a Trent student is at an end, and I promise I'll be brief so we can get to the important part of today, the party, your time as a Trent alumnus is about to start. On behalf of the Trent University Alumni Association, I would like to be the first to say welcome. As graduates, the Alumni Association is your way to stay connected to Trent and the home that you've helped to create here as you move on to start the next chapter in your life. I would like to invite all of you who haven't already done so to please go to the alumni website and update your contact information so we can keep in touch. You should all be getting emails right now from the president of the Alumni Association, including the link and registration information. As part of your alumni profile, you'll be asked to provide communication preferences, so we promise you will only be contacted with events that align with your interests. Your preferences can be updated at any time using a simple online form. In addition to providing a lasting connection to Trent, the Alumni Association also comes with additional benefits like discounts on health, home, auto insurance, continued access to Battle Library that's going to be even better when the renovations are finished, and also the Career Center and various discounts and offers that are available. Again, all the details on this can be found on the website. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with Alumni Affairs or any member of the Trent Alumni Association Council. Participation in Alumni Association is also a way for you to give back to the university. And before you tune me out and think, I'm about to start giving back to OSAP, I'm a new grad, I have no job, I want to make it clear that I'm not suggesting you donate money. If you're offering, I'm not going to say no. But there are many ways to give back to Trent that don't involve monetary donations. The Trent experience is shaped, and I believe greatly enhanced, by connections with our alumni community. You can become a student mentor, placement host, return to campus and give a guest lecture, or volunteer at an event. Just spreading the word about the wonderful experience you've had at Trent will help to increase enrollment numbers. Trent is more than simply a collection of buildings. It is a diverse community that is shaped by all its members. As you graduate today, your relationship with Trent will change, but you will always be a member of the Trent community. As you go out and start on your next adventure, be it travel, additional school, or a career, know that you will always belong at Trent. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. As we near the end of the convocation ceremony, it's time to say some thanks. I wanted to thank all of you who've joined us today for this ceremony. And I think some special thanks are due, so I'm going to ask the graduates to please stand for a moment. And I'm going to ask the audience, your families, your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your spouses, to thank you for the perseverance and commitment it took for you to be able to complete your degree successfully at Trent University. A round of applause for the graduates, please. Now, while I have you standing, it would be only appropriate to think about the people in the audience who have been waiting for you to graduate, maybe some of them a little impatiently for a long time. They've been your support network. Somebody at the convocation yesterday called them the pit crew. Please have a round of applause for your pit crew. If you don't mind me saying, I think we can do better than that. A round of applause for the pit crew. There we go. And maybe, last of all, could we all give a round of applause to all the people it takes to organize the convocation? There are so many people behind the scenes. Thank you. Please be seated. Please join us for a reception in the Great Hall of Champlain College. Champlain College is the building with all the international flags as you go up the staircase. And there will be a reception there. The procession will leave the stage following the singing of O Canada. I just ask you to remain standing until the procession has departed. Mr. Chancellor, I now call upon you to dismiss convocation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as this ceremony draws to a close, I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. And I know, students, that I speak on behalf of all of the parents and friends and faculty and staff and guests here today when I say that it has been a great honor to be part of your convocation. And you all deserve to feel very, very proud of yourselves. And what a spectacular day, too. You'll remember this one. And I have to tell you, I've been at my share of convocations around the world, and there is no more wonderful place on planet Earth to convocate than this beautiful theater designed by Ron Tom some 50-plus years ago. And a river does run through it. So this convocation marks the end of one chapter of your life and the beginning of another. And no matter where that chapter takes you, Trent will always be an important part of who you are. And I encourage you to listen to Karen Smith and to stay in touch with the university and to get involved at some point in your life. I know for me it has been a source of great fulfillment. And also, I can speak with experience when I say it's very rewarding to help the future generations to reach this special day for themselves. You know, overall, notwithstanding my long speech, I'm very optimistic about the future. And I'm of the view that the future is not something to be predicted, it's something to be achieved. And I'm optimistic because I see the passion and the desire that you will bring to your new endeavors, and also to our collective future. And I think that you're all going to get lucky in the sense that luck is the intersection, not what you were thinking. Luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. And there's no better place to be prepared for the future than at this great institution. So go make your mark on the world, reach for the stars, and make us proud. Convocation is now dismissed.